Welcome to another episode of The Latest with Maya. Today, I am very excited to have a conversation with Jon Beckerman. Jon is the creator of the new series Dinner with the Parents, which is out now on Amazon Freebie. Thank you so much for being on my show. I'm very excited to be talking with you again.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So let's get started. Dinner with the Parents is a remake of the British series Friday Night Dinner. Why did you want to remake this series?
Well, to start with, I see it as less of a remake, and more of a new show that uses the same format as Friday Night Dinner. That might be a subtle distinction, but I think it's the correct way to describe it, meaning that like Friday Night Dinner, Dinner with the Parents is about a family that gets together for dinner every Friday night. But it's a different family. It has some resemblance to the family on Friday Night Dinner, but it's kind of its own thing with its own characters. And to answer your question, I think what drew me to it was that when I saw the very funny series created by Robert Popper, it just seemed like such a fun way to tell family stories, and also to write about a family with grown kids, so it's not like your regular family comedy where there's like little kids and stuff. It's a show about five adults, two brothers, their parents, and their grandmother, and also their neighbor and various other people who pop in. um, uh, but it's a way to do an adult family show. And I also saw the opportunity to really draw from my own childhood, my own parents and brother and grandmother, the neighborhood where I grew up. All of that seemed like it'd be really easy to work into this format. So I really got excited about taking Robert's great show and figuring out ways to make it personal to me and to our writers.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So how do you keep yourself motivated to create even on days when you aren't fully feeling it?
That's a great question. And the answer is I don't. I if I have days when I don't feel like doing it, I give myself the permission to not do it. I know there there are some people who say being a writer means you write every day, and I don't really subscribe to that. I think it's okay not to write every day,
Yeah.
Um, I came up as a late night comedy writer on the David Letterman show. I started on his uh, late night show on NBC and then moved over to CBS when that happened in the early 90s and then stayed there a long time. Now, that's a job where you really do have to do it every day. But there's a big staff of writers there. So on a given day, if you're not up to it, you can slack off a little bit and other people will carry the ball that day. Um, I don't I don't think this is a job that you're always going to be able to feel like you can get in the zone to do it as well as it can be done. Some days you'll just do kind of a workman-like job, hit the basics, and you're done. And other days you're inspired. At least that's my experience.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, I love that. So who in your life has had the biggest impact on how you choose to live?
How I choose to live. Wow. You know, I definitely have to put my parents at the top of that list. My dad passed away about a year and a half ago. And it was from him that I learned that, and from my mom, that I learned that family really is kind of the most important thing. It's more important than work. It's more important than ambition. And I think the key to the family into life is unconditional love, which is something that I feel like I got from my dad and I get from my mom. It doesn't mean they're never unhappy with me, that we never have conflict. It doesn't mean that. It means that you never have to worry about the love stopping or the love depending on something. It's just there, and I try to give that to my family. Um, so yeah, I think that would be my answer.
Oh, I love that. Um, yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, so what are people surprised to learn about you?
Uh, um, I might have to ask some people in my life to get an accurate picture of that. I don't know. I think I'm trying to think if there's anything actually surprising about me. I mean, my interests are pretty common, I think, for like a middle-aged dad kind of guy. I like the kind of music you think I would like. I like uh maybe people would be surprised that I'm a gamer at my age, but I think that's pretty common too, honestly. Um People might be surprised how many Hawaiian shirts I own, or they might think that's the least surprising thing in the world. I don't know. Uh, I have a few dumb collections, but I don't think they're that surprising. I collect belt buckles, ukuleles. Uh, I have a small collection of like sort of rock and roll, like pins, like buttons, but all of this is pretty typical middle-aged dad stuff, I think.
Um, yeah, so what three words best describe you?
3 words. Okay. Um, hmm, 3 words. I feel like they would be, I mean, this is not an adjective, but I feel like dad would be one of them. When I think of sort of how I identify as a person, these days or ever since having my kids, I think of myself as a dad. Um, Personality wise, I think maybe uh what's the word? Persistent. Um I I feel like maybe one of my strengths is um that I don't give up very easily. And in this business in particular, I think that's an important quality to have
Yeah,
because you know, this business is 99% about failure and disappointment. And you have to find a way to just keep going. And another word, huh, I guess, I guess simultaneously with that, I mean, I think of insecure, and it's something I've I don't know that I'll ever conquer it. It's something I've worked very hard on. But yeah, I feel like I've found it challenging in my life to ever get to the point where it's like, all right, good. I feel like I've become who I want to be. I'm satisfied and happy with how I think I'm perceived or how I perceive myself. Uh, and I'm not sure why that is, but it's been with me my entire life, a certain amount of insecurity and anxiety, and it doesn't seem to um, to depend on however successful or not I am at the moment. It's just kind of this baseline thing that I would love to not be there, but it is. And now I'm making myself sad. That's one of the three things I thought of because I guess I'm just trying to be balanced in like strengths and weaknesses, you know?
Yeah, I love yeah, being balanced. I think that's a good thing to
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so is there someone who without fail always makes you laugh?
My brother, James, or Jamie as I call him, um, is the person that can most easily make me laugh. And I think it's just because we've, had an entire lifetime together. We've had many of the same experiences, even though we haven't lived together since, basically I went up to college, many decades ago now. But yeah, he's the person who um, just with like two words on a text can make me laugh because I know exactly what he's talking about, what he's referencing. Um, so yeah, I would say my brother.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, yeah, do you have any irrational fears?
Do I ever? Yeah, I mean, I think I it's funny. I said I was persistent and insecure, and I think I fear failure in a way that is out of proportion to what the actual consequences of failure have been for me. Um, I I was a kid who um, I was a very academically driven kid. I did very well from an early age at school, and I think I started to derive a lot of my feeling of self-worth from how I was doing, from my grades, from being like at the top of the ranking and all that kind of stuff. And that drove me, but it also it it made it very hard for me to fail, even though, if I got something wrong on a test, like there would have been no consequence, but it I would have felt that fear and just hated the way that it felt to get that grade back that's less than perfect. So yeah, I would say failure is up there more than things like, spiders or something, which I also am not crazy about.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about, the kind of fears that actually uh affect you in a deep way, I would say failure is way up there.
No. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, of all that you have accomplished so far, is there something you are most proud of?
Um, Work wise, I I'm fortunate in that I feel I have much to be proud of. I'm really proud of the contributions I made to the two different Letterman late night shows I worked on. Um, you know, I'm super proud of the show Ed that I co-created and ran with my friend Rob Burnett. back in the early 2000s, um, which never attained monster hit status, but was really beloved by a lot of people to whom it was really important, and that was a source of great pride. And now I'm really proud of Dinner with the Parents because it's the first series that I've created and run on my own, and I set out to do it in a way that um, it was important to me that everyone who worked on it had a good experience. Uh, and you know, regardless of how the show turned out, I think I delivered on that, and I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Oh, I love that. Yeah, yeah, just with the few episodes of um Dinner with the Parents that are out so far, I love it. It's so funny and yeah, it's so good. I'm obsessed with it.
that means everything to me. I so appreciate that, and I hope you'll find as I believe that the show keeps leveling up as the season goes on. It's
Yeah.
there's always a process in kind of finding a show, and especially the way things are developed nowadays, which, as you may know, a lot of shows are ordered to series based on just a pitch or maybe a script, which means that unlike the old days when you would do a pilot, right? The way it used to work is you would uh, you would write a script for the first episode. The network would order a pilot if they liked it. You'd make that, and if they liked that, you would get to make the rest of the first season.
Yeah.
And so you kind of had almost like a year between when you made that pilot. I mean, maybe not quite a year, but many months between making that pilot and then making the second episode, um, in which to think about what worked, what didn't, and plan accordingly when writing the subsequent episodes. The way it works today is there aren't as many pilots made. So we did not make a pilot for this show. There was a script I had written for actually the what turned out to be the third episode, oddly enough, the one in which uh, you meet the Spiegels, the next door neighbors, for the first time. Um, that was the first one I wrote, and Amazon ordered 10 episodes based on that script. So I didn't know who was going to be playing these characters um, until honestly after we had written the entire season. Um, so I believe it worked out very well, but you can see how crazy that is. You're writing this whole thing, 10 episodes, not knowing who's going to play the characters, um, not knowing what their chemistry is going to be like, not knowing what relationships are going to be the most entertaining to watch. You don't know any of that. You just have to do your best in the absence of that information.
Yeah.
And uh, yeah, so I do believe, even though I'm proud of the early episodes, I think if people watch all 10, my guess is they will feel like the show really finds itself as it goes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I hope you agree.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah, and that's really interesting. I actually, yeah, I didn't know um that it's totally different now.
It's very common nowadays to do it the way I've described, and that never used to be.
Yeah.
Anybody did.
That's so interesting. Um so what are the songs that make you sing along whenever you hear them?
Oh, what a great question. Um, oh man. I might need a little time to think about it. Um, I I mean, I'm such a huge music person. that it's hard to narrow things down. But I'm a huge Beatles obsessive. So, anything by the Beatles, particularly uh, kind of later Beatles, like I've got a feeling that'll do it for me. I'm actually loading up my iTunes now to see what my top songs like in terms of plays are. Um, so like favorite favorite songs, okay. On that list is She Belongs to Me by Bob Dylan, Bad Moon Rising by Creedence, uh Easy to Slip by Little Feat, Pictures of Matchstick Men by Status Quo. Um, and then, there's more recent stuff like anything by Pavement, anything by Pixies. Um, and I know when I say recent, I mean things that are like 25 years old. Elvis Costello. Oh, Bowie. Yeah, I'll sing to any Bowie. And yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything. Oh, Steely Dan, absolutely. Uh Anything Beach Boys, um anything from the Zombies album Odyssey and Oracle.
Oh, I love
Uh,
that.
there you go.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, YouTube recently for me sent like a list of or like a YouTube rewind of
Yeah.
everything I've listened to or the things I've listened to the most this year.
Hmm.
And now I'm trying to find it. Um,
Oh, I see you have Taylor Swift on the wall behind you,
yes,
so I'm guessing that
I
she's
do.
included.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, I mean, I love Taylor Swift, but actually, she is not on this. She is actually, it's my top artists this year have been, I mean, a lot of my favorites, Macy Peters, Ben Platt, and Asher Angel, uh,
Yeah,
have been my big ones, this year that I just, um, yeah, listen to on a loop. So
nice.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so what small things bring you joy on a daily basis?
Uh, Another excellent question. Um, I think one thing is breakfast. I really enjoy breakfast, and I wake up pretty hungry and excited for what I'm going to have, even though I end up having two or three things kind of on rotation, but and they're nothing that special. Like I'll have a bowl of hot cereal, or I'll have like a bagel toasted with peanut butter, or maybe with my mouth is watering with with smoked salmon and cream cheese. Um, Lately, uh, I've been making wheatina, which is this sort of old timey like hot cereal that my dad used to make for me when I was growing up every now and then. And I found it on Amazon. Like it's hard to find in a store, but I found it and I love it. And yeah, I get very excited about breakfast. I get very excited about my dog Teddy. He gives me a lot of joy, even though he also can be super yappy and um, you know, uh, in your face. But it's just such a blissful feeling to have a sleeping dog on your lap, and I'm lucky to be able to have that anytime I want it, pretty much. Uh, yeah, those are some very small things that bring me a huge amount of joy.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, Yeah, so I am pop culture obsessed and I go on stages of shows that
Yeah.
I can't stop watching. Is there a show that you are currently obsessed with?
Um, wow. Well, let me see. I the truth is I just finished binging that baby reindeer show on Netflix,
Yeah,
which I don't even know how I feel about it, all things considered, but I will say it grabbed my attention and didn't let go until I had watched it all.
yeah.
Um, have you seen that one?
Yeah, I have. I love that. I watched it all in 2 days. So
Yeah, I think I did too. And it looks like it's really become enormously popular because
yeah,
I think, it's just one of those shows where you, it seems like every episode something is revealed that makes you go, wait, what? And
yeah,
they did that very strategically and skillfully, um, normally I think maybe I don't normally love shows where or movies where um the reveal of information that they could have told you anytime, they
yeah,
could have told you about his history in the first episode, but they didn't. They withheld it just to make you lean in and go, well, wait, why is he what? But in this case, it didn't bother me just because I felt like they did it so well. The guy's a great storyteller.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I binged watched that with my mom actually. We watched that show together.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I was so impressed with the way he could, turn that into that his like it's since it's a true story that he could
Right.
take that and turn it into um something that is just so well done. And I was
Yeah.
just I really, yeah, admired that he was able to do that.
Yeah, me too. I also really enjoyed Ripley. That's another show that comes
Yeah,
to mind. My wife Nell and I watched that together. And first of all, I love it when there's a show that we both love because
yeah,
sometimes it can be hard to find things we're both really excited to watch.
yeah,
But yeah, that was like a beautifully done show, and I'm kind of a Ripley maniac. I love the books, which I read all of them. I kind of binge read them, back
yeah,
uh, in my 20s, I think, and I'm
yeah,
kind of a sucker for. Uh, I love these kind of imposter scam artist type
yeah,
anti-heroes. I'm just a sucker for that. Um,
yeah,
and it's funny because like I think that carries through to dinner with the parents because I feel like in any given episode, somebody is being an imposter or trying to run
yeah,
a scam and then digging themselves deeper into that hole and the web of lies. And I
yeah,
love that kind of story.
yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, it's not like it's not a new show, but it's one of my favorites that I just went back and rewatched, White Collar.
Oh, I've never watched that show. I've
It's
heard good things about it.
Yeah, it's one of my, yeah, all-time favorite shows, and I went back and rewatched the whole thing, and now I just that's like the show that I have on, like, just whenever I don't know if I'm like doing something but still want something on in the background, I have
Yeah,
that on. And so yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Um So, if you had to pick any character in a book, movie, or TV show who is most similar to you, who would you choose and why?
Probably Indiana Jones because he's so handsome and brave and no, I wish. Um, geez, I mean, probably take your pick of any kind of Ben Stiller character. Like, um, I guess I love him and I always um you know could find ways to relate to his characters and a bunch of different comedies. Um I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. Any great movie or I you know book or TV show about insecure Jewish men I find relatable. I guess is what it boils down to. I feel seen.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love yeah, finding characters that like you can relate to on a deeper level.
Yeah.
And yeah. Um so I love inspiring and motivational quotes. And
Hmm.
this week, my favorite quotation is by Maya Angelou. And it says, hate, it has caused a lot of problems in this world, but it has not solved one yet. Is there a quotation that has inspired you lately?
Um, I can't think of one off the top of my head. It's hard to beat the one that you just said, especially nowadays. I could not agree more with Maya Angelou there. Um, hmm. I'm coming up dry. You put me on the spot. I'm sure I could think of something or Google something and pretend I thought of it, but I'm not going to do that. I'll just I'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, yeah, well, that was actually my final question for you. And it was so much fun talking with you. I so appreciate you taking the time. So
My
thank
pleasure, and I appreciate you taking the time. I love talking to you.
you, of course.
Ask terrific questions.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah, talking with you has made my day, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Maya.
Yeah, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. And that's a wrap on today's edition of The Latest with Maya.